Hello and welcome to the Garage Series. My name is Jeremy Chapman.
Hi everybody, my name is Aykan.
So today we have a very special show in store. We're going to talk about next generation search and discovery with something we call Codename Oslo.
That's right, Jeremy. It's actually more than search. It's all about how information can really start to find you in an intelligent way.
Very cool. One question I get a lot is, why did we call it Oslo?
That's a great question. Well, the team is actually based in Norway, Oslo, and we decided it just makes sense to call it Oslo.
And speaking of this team, we have one of their leaders, one of the visionaries behind Oslo, Mr. Ashok Kuppusamy, who's going to join us later to show us a demonstration of all of this in action.
Yes, all the way from Norway.
Very cool. So before we get started, let's have a look at today's trivia question.
True or false? Codename Oslo proactively discovers personalized content for you without you having to search.
Stay tuned for the answer at the end of the show. So this is a very visual topic. We're going to show all this in action. We've got Jem at the PPI ready to show us how all of the magic works behind the scenes. Let's first have a look at today's search experiences through SharePoint. So in my case, I want to find a document that's called Shangri-La. It was presented to me by a colleague in the December or January timeframe. I can't remember exactly. I remember it was an update, and I remember it was from Katie. So I'm going to go ahead and look for that. And what I'll see is basically a list of about 10 different static links with thumbnails. And all these thumbnails, actually in this case, look around the same. So I'd have to either go into each one of these documents and look at that and see whether or not this is the doc I want. Now, Katie might be offline, it might be late at night, but I want to be able to find this very quickly. And one of the problems that I might be able to resolve here is go in to look at Katie's OneDrive site and have a look at her files, but I think there's a better way.
Absolutely, Jeremy. Actually, let's look at your current situation right now. So this is you dealing with so much content. You have so much content scattered across different team sites, different groups. You probably don't even know where half that stuff is. And now you work with a lot of people in your organization as well. You collaborate. There's a lot of discussions that are happening between Yammer and Exchange. You're using all of these different tools. The problem with this view is, Jeremy, you're actually working in different silos. See, your content is different from where your conversations are happening and the way you interact with people. So if you think about these, there's actually these silos that you have to deal with. There's a lot of content in SharePoint Online. There's a lot of activities that you're having in groups, and there's a lot of different interactions and conversations you're happening in Exchange Online as well as Yammer. So wouldn't it be great if we actually had a way to connect the dots across and help you discover and search in a very natural, in a very efficient way? So let me actually introduce you to Ashok Kuppusamy from all the way from Norway, who could tell us more about this new investment called Codename Oslo.
Hey Jem, great to see you again.
Hello, welcome.
Hey Jeremy, meet.
So Ashok, where are we going with search and discovery?
Well Jeremy, we started Oslo to really reimagine search and discovery in the enterprise along three key dimensions. First, we really reinvented the experience so it looks nothing at all like 10 blue links and really tried to make it visually delightful and impactful. Also, Oslo is built on top of the Office graph that Jem has just been showing us on the PPI, which is great to see. And last, Oslo is proactive. It really brings you the information that you need to know to get on with your day.
Great, so can we see some of this in action?
Yeah, I'd love to. Let's dive right in. So I'll launch the Windows 8 Oslo application, and notice right off the bat, Oslo immediately brings me the most interesting, the most useful, the most relevant information from across all of Office 365. Now, Jeremy, if you're anything like me, you've got stuff stored in many different places, various OneDrives and team sites, distribution lists, and Yammer groups, right? It's so hard to go on throughout your day and try to figure out what's actually the most important stuff to read and to work on. Well, with Oslo, you don't have to do that. We'll bring the most useful stuff right to you without you having to do anything.
And I see a bunch of different content types there, so it looks like you've got videos and sites and documents.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that, Jeremy. These days, it's not just about working with documents anymore. Here's an example of a web page that actually our executive, Jeff Teeper, just posted this morning. It's great to see this live. I can tap on it within Oslo, and how it comes up immediately within the Oslo experience. Really fantastic and natural. Now, I would have completely missed that web page, that blog article, if Oslo hadn't brought it to my attention. There's just too much stuff around for me to keep up with it all. Here's a great video that you mentioned as well. Right. This also showcases the new Office 365 video portal that we're investing in Office 365 as well. And you can see that video start to play right away, immediately, right there from within Oslo. Now, Jeremy, it's not just about additional content types and documents. It's also about making the content that you create look awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, we've noticed that a lot of the key documents and presentations that people like to share in meetings and send around to their coworkers, they like to put visuals in them because, you know, visuals can do a great job of communicating your message. Well, we believe if you go to the trouble and the effort of including pictures in your content, we ought to celebrate that in the experience, not hide it. So we don't represent and show documents as just list items or generic app icons. We dive right into each of these documents and pull out the highest resolution pictures within them to really celebrate your content and make it look great.
Very cool. So, and I noticed that you're in Windows 8 here, and also the you know how it's laid out. It's very, very compelling. There are also filter views that we can get, right? If we click on the Oslo or the search icon, what happens then? Yeah,
that's right. Now Oslo will bring you the most interesting, most relevant information to you, but sometimes you know what you're looking for, right? Mm-hmm. So I can dive right into using the instant search box within Oslo, and before I type anything, Oslo gives me these very intuitive, natural language pivots, ways to navigate my world. Things like, you know, modified by me, right? Or shared with me, or my favorite here is presented to me. Let me dive into presented to me. Here I can see all the presentations that have been delivered to me in all the meetings that I've been to over the last few weeks.
Now hold on. So the modified by me and viewed by me, that's something we could probably get through SharePoint tags, but how did you find out what was presented to me?
That's a great question, Jeremy. So let me tell you about the secret sauce behind Oslo, this new concept called the Office Graph. So Office Graph allows us to consume all of your interactions with content, with other people, and really start to capture all of these insights into this new data layer, which we like to call Office Graph. Now then, applying machine learning principles on top of all of this content and signals, we start to learn more about you. We start to understand what you really care about, what are the most important topics that you should be aware of, and how can we help you better stay connected. Now, in the case of presented to me, because Office Graph had access to your Exchange calendar, it actually knew that you were part of that meeting, and a document on OneDrive was presented to you, and it was automatically able to connect those dots and make that content available right in your view. And that's the power of connecting these silos with Office Graph.
Wow, that's great. So is there more that you've done to even enhance that further?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, a lot of times you're looking for information or trying to discover information that's not necessarily centered or pivoted around the work that you're doing. But what you can do also is, again, tap into that instant search box right there in Oslo. Mm-hmm. And now I'll search for one of my colleagues, you know, Bill Baer. Now I just type a few characters of Bill's name, mm-hmm. and Oslo immediately suggests the right Bill. Now there's many different people named Bill within our company. Oslo knew the right Bill to suggest to me because I work a lot with Bill Baer, and hence we have a strong connection to each other in the Office Graph, as Jem just mentioned. So I'll dive into Bill's page. And what's great here is now we see how we celebrate people as a hero experience in Oslo. So it's not just about documents or content types like web pages, it's also about how we make people shine in Oslo. Great. So right off the bat, you can see we show a great view of Bill's world and the people that are most relevant and most interesting to him. So here's his organization. I can see his manager, his peers, his directs. But where it gets really interesting is these two views of working with and we both work with. These are actually activity-driven views that are insights built on top of the Office Graph that Jem just mentioned. Working with is all the people that Bill works with. They're not directly within his organization. Because we know these days we work with people in many different teams, sometimes even outside of our organization as well. And one of my favorite views, who we both work with, these are the people that I can see that Bill and I both work with in common. So we can actually spot connections between each other that maybe we didn't realize that we had. This is fantastic to see in like meetings when you meet with someone new. Quite often you'll realize that you actually have a connection with someone that you didn't actually realize until you actually saw their page in Oslo.
So, and I see all this content that looks like it's somehow tagged and associated with Bill there. Can you explain what those links are and those files are?
This is really cool also because it shows not only the documents that Bill's been working on, again, always filtered to what I have access to. Oslo never changes permissions on any content. But I also get to see the documents that are trending around Bill. So this is a really powerful view that gives me all the interesting documents that are navigating around Bill's world, even if those aren't directly the ones that he's worked on. So I can really discover interesting new content that I wouldn't have otherwise, because Bill has a different network of people than I do. And it's just a great way to learn and discover new information that's
right. You said something very interesting in the beginning. You can only see the content that you have access to, that you could actually, have permissions to actually view. So how does that public versus private viewing of content work?
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about that, Jeremy, actually. So as Ashok had mentioned, Office Graph in Oslo does not change any permissions whatsoever. It allows you to get the content that you already have access to, which is just scattered all over the place. We also look at the different types of signals. Signals are user interactions and behavior. For instance, your interactions with your manager might actually be something that's personal to you, or that the fact that you've actually seen a document is also a private signal. But for instance, you liking a document in an open public group in Yammer is something that's open, and that's something that we could use as part of our personal insight. So we are definitely very careful about privacy, and we make sure that we only surface the public signals that you are interacting with.
Great, so we're respecting all of the security controls around the content that we have through all of the tools that we have through Office 365 and through SharePoint. This is excellent. So we've shown a lot in terms of Oslo on Windows 8, but I'm wondering if all of this will work in another browser or if it will work in Windows 7, because I really want to be able to find, in my case, Shangri-La and the update to that was presented to me a few months back. So can I do that in a Windows 7 computer or another browser?
Absolutely. I want you to find Shangri-La also, Jeremy.
Okay.
Oslo is going to be available on every modern browser supported by Office 365, including Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and so forth.
Very cool. Let me see if I can actually use this to find the content I was looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and open this back up in a Internet Explorer browser, and I've got access to Oslo in my case right here in the browser. And this could be anything that is supported by Office 365. And the nice thing, I click on Oslo, and boom, right there, top dead center is Shangri-La update. I can click on that. It knows exactly who presented that to me. It was my colleague Katie. This is the file I want. This is what was presented to me. If I click on that, I can view it. It's beautiful inside of Office Online and in PowerPoint Online. And I found my content without even searching for it. I just clicked on the Oslo link. And the great thing, too, is that I didn't have to do anything to set that up.
That's right.
Because all the relationships were there and it knew what content was worked on around me, I could get to that content very quickly and easily without even searching for it in my case. And it was just presented directly to me. So this has really helped me out a lot. And I know that a lot of people are really dying to get their hands on it. When can customers expect to see Oslo available to them?
Well, if your customer or your company is already part of the Office 365 pre-release TAP program, Oslo is available to you right now. And for the general public, Oslo will be available by end of this year.
So before we wrap up, let's have a look at today's trivia question.
True or false? Codename Oslo proactively discovers personalized content for you without you having to search.
So of course the answer was true. You actually saw that in action. I found the content without even looking for it. It just came to me.
That's right, Jeremy and Jem. We're really entering a new era of personalized and proactive experiences for search and discovery in the enterprise. It's a really exciting time.
And we saw the power of Office Graph today, how it connected the dots across these different experiences and really help us get to the information we need.
And don't forget all of those intelligent filters that we had presented to me, viewed by me, modified by me, all
really
these
cool
things that we can see, and all of the access controls that IT pros have to control who can view all these files. Of course, all of this is found on the Office blog and on the Garage series itself, Microsoft.com/garage. That's about all the time we have for today, guys, but thanks for watching and goodbye for now.